YouTube, today we're going to go over the Gmax Flapple and Golduck team that I used on back-to-back battles. Let's get started and roll the episode. So why Golduck and Gmax Flapple? Well, I've had both of them in different team builder ideas for a while, and I've been trying to expand on some of them. I knew that Flapple could definitely be used because I think Grav Apple with the evasion boost could be a niche, which could be used for like Origin Pulse from Kyogre, which I felt like it could partner with pretty well because of the fact that it gets Airstream, the Max Dragons, and the Max Darkness that could support the Kyogre. So I've always thought about using that combination. Then I had a separate idea with Golduck. I actually added Golduck later to the team once I figured out that Golduck actually fits really well on this specific combination. And I thought, okay, Golduck can do with soak stuff with like Regieleki with Swift Swim, and I thought that could be a really fun tech. So I actually had two different team ideas. And then when I was building the team, originally starting with the Flapple, I thought, oh wait, Golduck can actually fit really well on this team. And that was how the team started to go along. So how was the team formed? Well, it started off with not Golduck. It started off with Qwilfish, actually. Qwilfish with Kyogre was a pairing I thought was pretty cool with the Swift Swim ability. Qwilfish would be able to outspeed Regieleki, for instance, under that Swift Swim. And with Choice Scarf, Kyogre could pair with like Icy Wind combinations into a Water Spout to break a Sash on Eleki. And then Water Spout, which was a Series 10 idea that I did have. I thought, you know what? I do want to try this out once again. Acid Spray I thought was a pretty cool move, and that's why I started with the Qwilfish plus Kyogre originally. Then I added the Gmax Flapple because I've always wanted to try Gmax Flapple next to Kyogre. I thought it could work with the Grav Apple. The Gmax move from this Flapple is Gmax Tartness, which lowers the evasion of opponents. And I thought, you know what, that's pretty good for like Origin Pulse backup plans. Airstream and Darkness is pretty good support for Kyogre. I thought Gmax Flapple could really work. Helps out against Lapras too, which was a bit annoying to the team. So I really did like idea. The next Pokemon I added, I had Tornadus originally over Talonflame, but when I looked over the team, I already had 4 slots covered, no fire type, and I couldn't really think of fire Pokemon that could really fit on the team. Maybe like Cinderace, but I really didn't want to add Cinderace once again. I felt like I wanted to try out a few different Pokemon, so I felt like, you know what, I could replace the Tornadus. I don't think it's like too important to add the Tornadus because all it's really doing is Tailwinding. And then, you know, I could maybe go for some Hurricanes, maybe Icy Winds, but I felt like the Icy Winds from Tornadus wasn't very valuable anyway. I'd rather just be dishing out damage. So I ended up looking at Talonflame because it provided that same role as Tornadus, gained that Tailwind with the priority, which was really nice. And I thought like, oh, that's actually really great because I'm able to get the Tailwind up. Of course, it's a little bit weaker because if you do take a little bit of damage initially, like a max move to protect, it could be a little bit awkward, but initially it's just like you get the Tailwind pretty much the same. The fire coverage was really nice because I wanted to hit Pokemon like Fairthorn, which was already really difficult for the team, I felt like, and I just couldn't see myself adding another fire type or fire type coverage. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna bring Talonflame. I think it does work on this team and it's pretty nice for the Tailwind, and the coverage is actually pretty nice. It also gives me a Zacian resist because Talonflame can at least usually live one attack from Zacian, which is pretty nice, and get a decent overheat off if I don't lead Kyogre. So I added Talonflame to the team over Tornadus. I felt like I didn't need the Icy Wind as much, and it was hitting pretty hard with the Brave Bird anyway. The next Pokemon I decided to add was the Choice Banded Urshifu, because Choice Banded Urshifu does so much damage. Really, it does so much damage. And with the Tailwind, I wanted this to be a hyper offensive team since I had the Gmax Flapple, which was already frail. I might as well just commit to it and take advantage of as much hyper offense as possible. I thought Gmax Urshifu really did fit the team. The next Pokemon I decided to add was an electric type because I felt like, you know, bulky waters can still be a bit of a pain. I would like a backup plan to like some stuff, and I thought that Regieleki having the speed momentum was really nice, especially like Talonflame. Regieleki is a pretty solid for the speed control. I really did like having that because, of course, this team does really rely on having a faster output against your opponent's team and sweeping before they can get hits off because your mods are generally frail. So I really did like having the Regieleki as a way to do that. And then after I added the Regieleki, I thought, you know what? Why do I have Qwilfish when I could go Golduck? Because it was also in my team builder at the time. I had a Golduck as a separate team. I thought, wait, Golduck just complements this more, even though I could go for acid spray stuff with Regieleki, and I thought that'd be pretty cool. Why don't I just go with the soak stuff with Golduck, because it also benefits the Gmax Flapple, and the only things that really benefit from acid spray are the Kyogre plus Regieleki, but I thought the soak really did benefit this team with the Gmax Flapple as well. So I was like, you know, I think Golduck might fit better, even though Acid Spray can really do support. I think it gives me some other tools to work with, like adding Choice Specs to the Kyogre instead, which I think is like way more advantageous with the Tailwind on the Talonflame. And I really did like that idea in general, just because of the fact that I'd be able to just really take advantage of like Gmax Flapple. Like if I lead Talonflame plus Gmax Flapple, go for an airstream, I'll outspeed my Kyogre. Instead of if I have a choice scarf Kyogre, I need 2 airstreams from the Flapple, which is a little bit unrealistic in a lot of different times. So I felt like Golduck just added more synergy to the team as a better component, and yeah, replace the Quillfish with Golduck, and that's how the 6 was formed. All right, let's go over the items, the movesets, and the EV spreads of the team. We have Gmax Flapple up first with the Life Orb Hustle ability with Grav Apple, Dual Wingbeat, Sucker Punch, Dragon Rush. I remember using this in the previous back-to-back battles team. I don't think I used the Gmax form. I think I used regular, but Life Orb Hustle was just absolutely crazy. Of course, the Hustle, of course, increasing the damage output with the Dynamax moves is actually really strong, which is crazy, and you don't have to worry about missing with the max moves being 100% accurate. So that's a really strong option. Life Orb just makes it go absolutely insane, and Flapple has a pretty decent attack stat of 110 with the Hustle and Life Orb. Absolutely monstrous right there. The damage output and his typing was pretty nice as support for Kyogre because of the quad resistance to both electric and grass, which of course are the types that Kyogre is weak to, and the max moves that can really support Kyogre with the max airstream from dual wing beats, the max darkness with the Kyogre, which is really nice for water spout pairings, and of course the max tartness, which is really solid to help out with a backup origin post game plan, and even max dragon helps out with Kyogre's weaker defense stats. So this Pokemon really has some great support sets for Kyogre. It really does help out. The EV spread is just very simple. Of course, it has 4 HP, 252 attack, and 252 speed with an Adamant Nature. Jolly Nature really didn't accomplish anything. You don't really outspeed anything with Jolly other than I think Modest Eliki, which all of them pretty much run Timid for the most part. So I felt like that was not worth it. And there wasn't really many airstream calcs that really do change, I feel like, with Adamant and Jolly. So might as well just go for the max damage output with Flapple. And yeah, you can outspeed Regieleki, which is a bit of a shame. You already outspeed the Calyrexes and the Zacians with Tailwind. So not really much to say. Just go Adamant max attack. The spread is just really strong, and the damage output's really crazy. Even though it has some really inaccurate moves, especially with the Hustle, just hope you can pick up some quick knockouts using the Flapple, right targets at the right times, and dish out all the damage that it can have with a really strong Pokemon. Next Pokemon we have is the Focus Sash Golduck with the Swift Swim ability with Scald, Icy Wind, Soak, and Protect. Did not expect this Pokemon to be on this team specifically, but it ends up working out. Golduck is another idea I had because of the Soak. I originally planned to use this with an Eliki team or with Kyogre in the future, but I ended up adding it on this team because it ended up having some very similar roles and just ended up helping, I think, the Flapple with the Soak, which I thought was pretty cool. The Focus Sash Golduck, of course, because this Pokemon is very frail. The Swift Swim ability, which allows me to outspeed stuff like Regieleki, which is really nice under the rain, and go for Icy Wind and control it for my Kyogre, I felt like was pretty valuable. I have the Scald, Icy Wind, Soak, and Protect with 4 HP, 252 special attack, and 252 speed. With a Timid Nature, you have to go Timid in order to outspeed Regieleki. You don't really care about the damage output as much. Of course, the Scald's really helpful. Max special attack, of course, for Scald to do decent amount. Icy Winds for good follow-ups. Focus Sash, of course, to take one attack at least. And yeah, the moveset's pretty simple. The Scald, of course, for the strong water type move. The Icy Wind's really nice for the speed control. The Soak to help out with Regieleki and Flapple. And Protect, of course, to preserve the Golduck for good situations. Next Pokemon we have is the Choice Bandit Urshifu with the Unseen Fist ability with Wicked Blow, Close Combat, Sucker Punch, U-Turn. Not really much else to say about this Pokemon. This Pokemon just hits absolutely hard. Hits through Protect, which is very valuable when you have Tailwind, Hyper Offense, and they're trying to stall out turns with Protect. They can't really do that with a Choice Bandit Urshifu out, and it really just dishes out a lot of damage. I really like Urshifu on this team. Helps against Ferrothorn instead of having set up the Iron Defense yet. Porygon 2, of course, is a little bit of an annoying Pokemon. I just really like having this Choice Bandit Urshifu against stuff like that, especially as a backup to like Shadow Rider Calyrex, which is also really nice. Just hits a lot of mons with the Wicked Blow. It really does a lot of damage. Moveset is pretty standard, I'd say, for a Choice Bandit Urshifu. I like the U-turn on this Urshifu because of the fact that I could U-turn specifically into different lead scenarios. Like if I lead Talonflame Urshifu, I could always U-turn out, bring in like Golduck, Kyogre. Like it has like a lot of different tools that I can utilize. So I think having U-turn is actually pretty nice for some certain situations, and I think it is a pretty valuable last move to have. I also debated about Poison Jab as a backup for like Feeny, which, you know, could have been a thing, but I felt like, you know, I do have the Flapple, I do have the Regieleki, and yeah, I just think it was good enough, I think, for the most part. So added U-turn for momentum. Never really clicked it. I think the last move, of course, usually you're just clicking Wicked Blow or Close Combat most of the time, Sucker Punch in really rare situations, and then you'll pretty much never click the last move. I just felt like U-turn could theoretically be good with the Urshifu. And the EV spread, of course, is just very simple: max attack, max speed with a 4 special defense for Jolly Urshifu. It's just really fast, hits really hard, not much else to say. Next Pokemon we have is the Mental Herb Talonflame with the Gale Wings ability with Overheat, Brave Bird, Tailwind, and Protect. I really think that Talonflame was a really cool Pokemon on this team, but with the fire typing, I think it's pretty cool on hyper offensive teams. And of course, a really big benefit having that fire typing, unlike Tornadus, I think is really nice. The downside, of course, is not having Prankster. Having Gale Wings is a little bit strange. Yes, the priority Brave Bird can be really nice, and it really did help out. Maybe against Grimmsnarls were also really nice. Brave Birding before he got like a Reflect Up, which was pretty cool. But yeah, it is a risk that I was willing to take, and the Talonflame I think really paid off. The fire typing was fantastic. Having that Overheat actually did do quite a few things right there. And yeah, it was pretty strong. I had the Mental Herb because there's some cases like against Whimsicott where sometimes I'll just protect the Talonflame. They think we're going to trade Tailwinds, and then I can Tailwind the following turn, as they might try to taunt the Talonflame, and I do have the Mental Herb. Same thing with Tornadus. I just always thought, you know, it was probably the best item. I didn't really think of any other items that could really be used. Maybe I could see Sharp Beak. I could definitely see it, but I just felt like, you know, I think Talonflame's going to do enough damage. I'd rather just have something in case. I think against other hyper offensive teams like the Tailwind momentum teams, I just think having the Mental Herb might be the best case on the Talonflame. So I have the Mental Herb. So the moveset, pretty standard: Overheat, Brave Bird, Tailwind, Protect. I have Overheat over like Flare Blitz because of a few things. The recoil, of course, but I do have Brave Bird. But the main reason for Overheat is because Fairthorn, of course, does like to run Iron Defense. So if it does get some Iron Defenses, I would like to have a Overheat to hit him with instead of the Flare Blitz, which I think is pretty valuable. I like having the Overheat as well because it ignores the Intimidates, which could always be a little bit of a thing. The Brave Bird is really nice here for the coverage. I think the main damage dealer Talonflame, and I think it is better than some of the more situational moves. I like having Tailwind with the Talonflame, of course, which is really necessary, and Protect to preserve the Talonflame. The use spread is just very simple: max attack, max speed with 4 special attack. I don't know, I went with a Naive Nature. I don't think that this Talonflame, I could have like thought about like what I really want to outspeed, but I felt like there wasn't really much to think about. Like Talonflame, I knew I was going to run a mixed set, so it doesn't have to be bulky, so I don't have to invest in bulk. Maybe I could have spread it out with the attack and the special attack. Maybe I could have made it more optimal, but really I wasn't sure, because like I felt like I was going for Overheat as a last ditch chip damage. I would mainly be clicking Brave Bird, trying to sack Talonflame so I can get in something for free. That's usually what my thought process was, and just having a max speed just ends up being worth it. I felt like with the Talonflame, like I don't really see what I would be, you know, it might be a little bit extra speed, but maybe there are some Zacians that like are 194, for instance. So why not just go with the max speed? Because I'm not putting it into bulk. I don't think I need it for the special attack. So yeah, I just felt like it was fine, just leaving it as it is. Next Pokemon we have is the Choice Specs Kyogre with the Drizzle ability with Water Spout, Origin Pulse, Thunder, and Ice Beam. Overall, Choice Specs Kyogre are absolutely insane. So I originally had Choice Scarf as the idea with the Quillfish, but when I switched to Golduck, I thought about it a little bit more, and I felt like, you know, I think having the Choice Specs would be more useful, because I don't think I'm really as worried about, I think, against Aleki as I initially thought, especially with the Choice Band Urshifu. And I felt like with the Golduck situation, I think I'd rather value the Choice Specs damage, because I felt like what would be a very common scenario is me going for Icy Wind against Zacian and going for the Water Spout, and I felt like that was way more of a scenario than just attacking into like the Regieleki, because like I have Tailwind with the Talonflame, so I felt like that was pretty viable. And then I also thought about Focus Sash Aleki not really existing as much, so that was more of a Series 10 thing. Of course, that was the idea that I had in Series 10, but now Series 11, a lot of them are Magnet or Life Orb, so I felt like, you know, the Choice Specs Water Spout will just OHKO them anyway. They even drew Dynamax usually with Tailwind, so I felt like, you know, I don't have to run the Scarf variant, especially on this team. It might be worth it with the Quillfish, because I could go for Acid Spray Water Spouts, and I think that would be more worth it. But I think for this specific team, I think Choice Specs was a better call, and it did help with the Flapple, since I didn't need to get 2 Airstreams to outspeed the Kyogre with my Flapple, which I thought was pretty nice. So yeah, ended up switching to Choice Specs. Same moveset though: Water Spout, Origin Pulse, Thunder, Ice Beam. Of course, pretty classic set. Water Spout, big damage. Origin Pulse, really nice as a backup. I chose Origin Pulse over Scald because the Wide Guard's not really an existing thing in this format. And of course, with the Gmax Flapple, with the max move, can be beneficial, which is pretty nice. And Thunder and Ice Beam, of course, really good coverage in general. Thunder can help out with the Silk mode as well. And Ice Beam, of course, just good coverage. And then the EV spread, I went with this Kyogre that just went to outspeed the Calyx Shadow Rider after an Icy Wind or an Airstream. I just felt like this was pretty worth it on the Kyogre, and then I just invested the rest into special attack, of course, and then the little bit extra into bulk because you never know when you can need it. And I didn't really think the speed was going to be really too valuable. I just couldn't really see what I was going to be like speed tying with, or like really going for that speed. So yeah, I just ended up just playing into bulk since I felt like, you know, maybe it can help with Kyogre for a little bit and might help with Water Spout calcs on the tiniest of slivers. The final Pokemon we have is the Magnet Regieleki with the Transistor ability with Thunderbolt, Electro Web, Volt Switch, and Protect. You know, this Pokemon, base 200 speed, I don't know what they were thinking. It's just a crazy Pokemon, and yeah, it's just absolutely insane. So the main idea, of course, with the Regieleki, the Magnet, to increase the electric type moves, which is really nice, especially since my initial thought process for getting the Eleki is usually I would lead Kyogre plus Golduck. I would go for like Icy Wind, Water Spout, really chip their team. They focus down on the Kyogre, then I get to bring out the Regieleki, usually clean up those Pokemon, and then I have a strong Soak and Max Lightning in play, which I felt like, you know, that would be a really strong end game. So that was basically the initial idea of having this kind of core, and yeah, that's what I ended up focusing on. Of course, Magnet allows me to pick up some really strong KOs, especially with the Soak on the Golduck. And yeah, it just felt really strong. The EV spread's really simple. The moveset's pretty simple. I didn't think I needed Hyper Beam like on most Regielekis because I don't think Hyper Beam's that good of a move. And since I have Soak on the Golduck, I have ways to hit the ground types anyway. And that's usually what I would try to aim for. So I felt like really I just didn't need Hyper Beam. I'd rather have Volt Switch because there's some weather plays that I can make with the Kyogre, of course. So I felt like just having Volt Switch is just better. The Electro Whip, of course, for speed control. Protect, you want to preserve the Eleki. Thunderbolt is the initial damage dealer. I could have went Thunder. That's the only little bit of a difference I could have really went for. But I just felt like, you know, there'll be times I'll lead Regieleki or Urshifu or Regieleki Talonflame. And do I really want to go for Thunder turn 1? I just felt like the answer was no. So I just rather value the consistency right there. And then the EV spread, of course, is very simple. It's just max special attack, max speed. I don't remember where the forward was actually on the initial team. It might have been into physical defense. But yeah, just generally, this Eleki just hits really strong, meant for Soak combination with the Golduck or for just initial speed control if I'm fighting a pretty fast offensive team. So how to use the team and what are the common leads with the team? Really, this team, all about damage output and speed control. That is what Hyper Offense really is. It's just getting up speed control, Electro Web, Tailwind, Icy Wind support, and then dishing out a lot of damage using Gmax Flapple, the Kyogre, and the Urshifu. That really is just the main goal of the team. Just outpace your opponent, dish out a lot of damage before they can strike back. The common leads I would say with this team, there's a lot of different leads you can really lead. I mean, this team's really flexible, which is surprising. Talonflame, if anything, it really just adds some support. You could go for Tailwind with Talonflame, and then you could go for offense with Urshifu, Regieleki, Kyogre, or Flapple, which is really strong. Or you could lead like Golduck plus Talonflame, set up the Icy Winds and Soaks for the Pokemon in the back, which isn't that bad either. You can also lead Golduck with Kyogre, which is pretty solid of a lead. Icy Wind in the Water Spout is really threatening against a lot of teams. I think it's really strong, of course. And there's stuff like Regieleki that can lead with anything like Kyogre, the Flapple, or the Urshifu. Of course, with the Electro Whip support, is just really, really solid right there. And yeah, I would say those would probably be the main leads. There are some situational leads, of course, that you can lead, but I'd say those are probably the most consistent, strong leads that you can have. But again, this seems very flexible, surprisingly, for a hyper offensive team. And there are a lot of fun combinations that you can use. And that is the show. I hope you all enjoyed the thought process that went behind the Golduck and the Gmax Flapple team. Definitely wasn't what I expected as the end result, but ended up performing pretty well. You can grab the team on your screen right here with the rental code. 2 weeks to grab it before it expires, but there is a payment available in the description. If you haven't checked out the episodes with the team for some reason, make sure you go check them out. But thank you all for tuning in. Have a great day, people. And until we battle again, I'll catch y'all later.